all to be a part of us, just as we are, to inspire each other to live our purpose, and to involve ourselves in our ministries. Ministries that help us discover better how to serve, share our concerns, express our grief and pain, our joys and strengths. And may we dedicate our journeys personally and collectively to love and authenticity as we work together with heartfelt commitment to service and to each other. May it be so. And I'll light our chalice that we may be a candle brighter.
Thank you. Excuse me. I'd like to start by announcing that our quorum does not need to be established by the numbers of people who are sitting here with us today. The quorum will be established based on the number of votes. We hope that we have a good audience out there in the virtual world, and I greet all of you. Thank you for joining us virtually, but our quorum will be established by the number of votes we receive. And after the meeting concludes, you will get an email from the office with a SurveyMonkey ballot. So that is how you cast your votes today, is electronically. So you will get that after the service today, and your votes must be submitted by midnight. So you have from the time the ballots go out until midnight to cast your ballot for all of the issues that we're going to be talking about this afternoon. And I'd also like to announce that Carol Birch has agreed to serve as the parliamentarian for today's meeting, and she has been busily reading Robert's Rules of Order so that she is completely prepared for any of the questions that you might use to challenge her. So thank you very much, Carol. And I would also like to introduce our current First UU board members, and to also apologize for Troy Peters. He has served as our secretary for the last year, but he was not able to be here because of a work conflict this afternoon. So I want you to be able to see everybody. Ron Pena is our vice president. Thank you, Ron. Deb Loya is our treasurer. And these are our members at large: Terry Palin, Oscar Solis, Vicki Tullius, and Danielle Bess. They have worked very hard on your behalf this year, so thank you all. And the first item on our agenda, and the first motion that you will be asked to consider on your ballot when you vote today, is approval of the minutes from our 2021 meeting. So, does anybody have anything from those minutes that we need to correct? It's hard to remember a whole year ago, but we do have an opportunity to make changes if we need to. All right, so there will be a motion on your ballot for you to approve those minutes. Thank you. And now I'm going to pass the torch to our Leadership Development Committee, and they will announce the slate for the upcoming year.
I'm Tess Bobo, and this is Anona and Anona Sobczak. And we want to thank all of our leaders, especially our board, especially Gale, for doing such a fantastic job. I will move on to, I would like to recognize the LDC real quick. They have worked super hard, and Ms. Sobczak, you know, is fantastic. Karen Davis, Heather Hedquist, Maria Bush, and Mary Bringer. Thank you all. I know you all do incredible work. I will move on to the work we're supposed to do. So, for the Board of Trustees, we have I'm only going to read the new ones, and you can read them, so I'll go quickly. For President, Terry Palin. For Vice President, Heather Hedquist. For secretary, Polly Noel. Let's make sure I know how to do this. Oh, excuse me, wait. Did I do that wrong? No, I didn't. Okay. Sorry, trustees at large, the new one would be Betty Bergner. Moving forward, we have, no, that one. Yay, Committee on Shared Ministry, Karen Davis, Gale Morrow, and Amelia Westney. For Stewardship Committee, there is one open co-chair position. Moving on to committees of the church, for trust fund for the endowments, Stephen Steckschulte and Richard Switzer. Community responsibility endowment fund stays the same. On leadership development, we would ask that Martha Cooley, Scott Emerson Price, and Linda Nash join us. And last, for coordinating team, we have for denominational connections, we have an open position on that. For Green Sanctuary, Allison Home Crozier. Member Care, Pat Beck. For membership, we have two new leaders, Heidi McPhillips and Donna Pereira. And for Rainbow Coalition, we have Pam Ilar, and Leslie Hinton has agreed to stay on, so we don't need that position filled. And next is Adult Religious Education. Sorry, Jennifer, we just need to shout out. She's done a fantastic job, and she continues to do it. For YRE, Kathy Beggs. Oh, sorry. On Social Justice, Mary Barad. For Worship, Dana Clark. And that is the slate that we are recommending. Please, are there any volunteers for the open positions? None being seen, we will proceed. Thank you so much.
And thank you both for your hard work this year. All right, our next agenda item will be the budget for the upcoming year. So Deb Loya is our treasurer.
I don't have a thing. So.
Okay.
Yes, I don't have a little flippy thing to go to. So, I do have something written up that Okay, so what I'm going to do is back you into the budget timeline so you will all understand why at the end of the presentation I'm going to tell you of two internal category adjustments that will be made after the congregational meeting, which do not affect the bottom line of revenue or expenses. But the board did want to make you aware of those two adjustments. So everyone received their copy of the board-approved proposed budget via email on May 8th. That budget is the $673,058 budget that you have before you, either electronically or physically if you printed it out for yourself, or if you grabbed a copy coming into this meeting. Okay? The board approved this budget at their April board meeting on April 20th. The Finance Committee completed its final version of the budget that went to the board on April 12th. That was after we received the Stewardship Committee's pledge number and projections, which were developed after the pledge campaign wrapped up the first week of April. So the Finance Committee, which is myself and Steve Feinstein and Austin Sobczak, and with Reverend Mark Consulting, we previously developed an aspirational budget between October and January, which was based on the input from the congregation, in order to give the Stewardship Committee a pledge goal in February. That aspirational budget was actually $718,093. So what the congregation said that it wanted cost about $718,000, but what the congregation was willing to pay for was about $673,000. And so adjustments had to be made. So what this boils down to is that the budgeting process is a lengthy process. Remember, October all the way to final vote by the board in April, and finally to May for your vote. And unfortunately, along the way, input that is used to produce the budget changes, even up to the last minute. So now I'll come to the two adjustments that will be made after the congregational vote. And these adjustments came about because we have had changes that manifested after the budget was approved by the board and was sent out in notice given to the congregation. So I do want to assure you that the changes make no difference in the bottom line of the budget, so everybody can rest easy and their heart can quit pitter-patting. The first change actually relates to our wonderful Reverend Nell. Reverend Nell officially came on board May 1st, as you know, and her budget category involves line items 541.2 to 541.11. So at the time of her hire, we didn't know what her preferred allotment of salary between housing and salary expense was. And ministers get to do that. They get to divide it up. That is their right. That allotment was just confirmed at the board's May board meeting that just happened last week. So you won't see, you just see a consolidated salary line. That will have to be apportioned as to what the board confirmed. And so just want to assure you that the end result is still that 81,595 figure. And for those of you looking at that bottom line and thinking, that seems low with the UUA suggested salary guidelines, it's important to note that the figure represents part-time work during the summer months and then goes to full-time. And so that those formulas were all figured out by Steve Feinstein. God love him. I do. The second adjustment that will be made also relates to staffing, specifically the Director of Religious Education. And so that involved lines 551 to 559. When the aspirational budget was crafted, remember we did an aspirational budget and then we had to adjust everything, we had no idea of what type of DLRE we might get. DRE, DLRE salaries are based on certifications and experience. So we initially used a fictional, middle-of-the-road kind of candidate because we really didn't know anything about who we were going to get. By the time the Finance Committee was paring down to create the pledge-aligned budget, we had a top candidate that Reverend Mark was negotiating with that seemed like he was going to be the one, he was going to be our one. So the numbers that you see reflected on the board-approved budget are actually crafted with that particular candidate in mind. And he dumped us. Anyway, we did not get that candidate, and that was after we had sent out the budget. So we then had to approach another candidate, and we found a way to go with another candidate who would fit within that budget, not because of their certification and experience, they're a different person, entirely different kind of situation, but would have a start date of August 1st, so that their salary would fit within that budget line. So we're talking about 10 months versus salary versus 12 months for this particular budget. But this candidate had additional moving expenses. But they also happened to have a spouse who had an employer who was willing, who had much better health benefits than the UUA did. So what we're going to do is take $3,000 of the healthcare line and move that to the moving expenses line. So again, this results in no change to the budget category and no change to the bottom line. So right now, that's all I have to say. And if, I don't know if you need an official motion, but if we need one, I move that we accept the budget. Let's see, if the motion hasn't been made, then I move that the motion to accept the budget be considered. Do we have it up there?
We have one.
Oh, there we go. Never mind. Thank you. I did not know that.
We will need a second.
So now it's open. And I got to get my budget.
She made the motion.
Okay. So now, you just consider questions,
So, yeah,
statements,
so now
it's up to
any
you.
discussion? Any questions for Deb? Awesome.
Okay.
Go
Oh.
on, there's one, all right. Christine.
Okay, thank you. And when I say that, the problem is with the UUA guidelines and the salaries, is that it depends on what size church you're trying to be hired by, that bumps the salary up. It depends on where you're located, that changes the salary. All of these things can make any one church more attractive than another church, depending on size and location. And, and we are what we are, and we pay middle-of-the-road salaries. We pay according to the UUA guidelines, but we pay middle of the road. We don't pay, high-end or anything. So there you have it. So we're attractive, just not as attractive.
The last time I saw something I'm sorry.
Be careful.
So the last time I saw something on the pledge drive, I saw that like $400 and something had been paid, 400,000.
Oh, you mean it said pledges and then an X number of dollars?
Right.
Right, okay,
So how is that going to meet this budget?
okay. When we're looking
Thank
at pledges, we're looking at pledges that you actually put your little slips of paper in, right? Right? And,
I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt.
oh,
What was the question again? I did not hear.
The question was, the amount of money that had been pledged during the pledge drive was $400 and something thousand.
it's actually
And this
higher.
budget is for $673,000. Where's the $200,000 coming from?
Okay, and when you, all right, so when you look at the budget, you have to you look at revenue, and you look at all of our revenue, including the pledge line, and there are other items as well on there. Where is this 204? Anyway, so one of the things that came out during the pledge and tried to keep track of are the actual little slips of paper that people have put in. And then also looking at historically what has happened and what pledges people have made, and also projecting on what pledges will be made. All of those go into the revenue category, including revenue like the cell tower income and other income that we may have. So it is a projection. It is not the actual figure that you were on the little slips of paper necessarily, but it was a budget with the projections that we had to take from the aspirational of what they wanted to get as a goal for the stewardship campaign and reduce that. So it's never going to be exactly what those slips of paper were, which is what the figure you see when the information was produced. Any other comments or questions? All righty, then I'm done.
Thank you, Deb. And I'm going to take this opportunity to make the wonderful announcement that Justine alluded to, and that is that we have hired a DLRE for First Unitarian Universalist Church of San Antonio. Yes. Her name is Bridget Laughlin, and she will start with us on August the 1st. She'll be moving from Seattle, Washington. We hope she's going to bring some rain with her. She's a recent seminary graduate and has been serving as a DLRE for a Seattle UU congregation. And she and her husband, Jason, have 2 young adult children. So if you would like more information about her, please ask Reverend Mark. But we are very excited. We're sad to lose Sherry. We're very excited about having someone new in place to take that role. So, yay. And then, since we have had a motion now on the budget, I want to go backwards because we did not go over the motions for the other 2 things that we need to make decisions about. And the first one is a motion that the minutes from the 2021 First UU Annual Congregational Meeting be approved as written. So if I could have a motion to that effect, I'd appreciate it. So Polly Noel has made that motion, and Tess Bobo is raising her hand to second it. So thank you very much. If there's any additional comments or questions, hearing none. So we also need to have a motion related to the slate of candidates. So this is the motion that the slate put forward by the Leadership Development Committee be approved. So may I have a motion to that effect also, please? Jim Noel. Thank you. Carol, are you seconding it? Thank you. Our parliamentarian seconds it. Thank you. Any further discussion about the slate of candidates? All right, thank you very much. And now we're going to move on to the proposed bylaws revisions. And I know this is the topic that makes most people's eyes cross. And it's a long list. So there were some handouts in the back. You received a copy of these proposed changes in your email that you got on May the 8th. And you also got a copy of the actual bylaws themselves with track changes noting the corrections that we are proposing to make. So I just want to go over a summary version of these changes with you and answer any questions you have. Whoops, sorry. So in the document that was previously approved, there were lots of references and lots of uses of the word bylaws. And sometimes that was hyphenated, and sometimes it was capitalized, and sometimes it wasn't. So one of the things that we did was just go through the document and make sure that bylaws were bylaws consistently and throughout. We also we made some corrections, editorial and grammatical corrections. We corrected the name to the Southern Region Unitarian Universalist Association. We removed the reference to right relationship, not because it's not an important concept, but because we aren't able to define it in clear terms. So the concept remains that if we have an issue with someone in the congregation, that we will work with that individual to try and sort things out and then make a decision about that person's continued relationship with the congregation. But without having that clearly defined, we did not want to keep it in the bylaws. Then we also changed the wording in the job descriptions for the officers of the board so that they would all start with consistent language. So there are no substantive changes, it's just a change in how their job descriptions are written so that they all read the same. And then, because we now have an assistant minister, yay, we needed to make it clear which minister we were referring to in the bylaws. So every place that it said minister, it now says lead minister to refer to the lead minister of the congregation. And then at the request of the Committee on Ministry, we have changed the name of that committee to the Committee on Shared Ministry. And we have changed pronouns he and she to they. So the effective date, if these are approved, would be June 1st of 2022. And you have a more detailed list of the changes, both in your email and also the few copies in the back. Are there questions? Let's go to our motion first. So, may I have a motion that the bylaws of the First Unitarian Universalist Church of San Antonio, Texas, be approved as amended and presented by the board? Yes. Yes, you may ask a question. Okay, I can't hear you, so could you come? Okay, so which number are you referring to? 17.
Right here, she's saying, in no event shall a contract be entered into.
Okay, so it's missing into, okay. Yes, all right, so may I have the motion? Marilyn, are you okay, well, let's have a motion first, please. Justine? Thank you, Justine. May I have a second? I didn't see who was. Okay. Oh, Martha, thank you. Okay. So yes. Now, item number 17, there's a word missing. In no event shall a contract be entered into that would cause. Yes, we will make that correction. And then, Marilyn, you had a comment? Fortunately, oh yes, thank you. She asked for a definition of shared ministry. And it is the request of the Committee on Ministry that we change the name to shared. So Justine, could I ask you to answer that, and would you come up here to the microphone? Thank you.
This is standard language that is used at many UU churches and also by the UUA to refer to committees on ministry. It denotes an understanding that ministry is a group effort that we are all engaged in here at the church. It is not the actions or result of one person. We had a beautiful musical worship together today, just as one example of how more than the minister contributes to ministry. And also, it is very hard to search for COM in one's emails and files and not have everything come up, any communication or .com. So I like to be pragmatic, and I thought we need to adopt this COSM thing right away so I can search for my committee things. But seriously, it is what is done at most churches now. So not inventing anything new. Anyone have questions or concerns about that? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Justine. Other questions or comments? All right. So then we're going to move to our final agenda item, which is the presentation of the Share the Plate nominees. And Maria Bush has been our Share the Plate coordinator for several years, and she is going to make this presentation. This middle button advances the slides.
This one?
The middle one, yep.
Okay, so I know you've all received this, and I apologize for it right now because it didn't come to you in the fashion I wanted it to due to my computer's problems. And I actually lost one of them. When you get the ballot today, there will be another one added on, which is Act for SA, which is a police accountability organization that empowers the San Antonio community to achieve the accountable and transparent public safety we deserve. And so that will be another one that you don't see on this ballot that was in your email. So I want you to understand that that was left off. My computer ate that one. It ate a lot of things. Something that should have taken me an hour took me 2.5 days. So, these are all organizations we have supported in the past, and I'm sure you're all familiar with them. If you have any questions.
Could you read those, please?
Sure. We have Healthy Futures, PFLAG of San Antonio, the UU Trust Fund for Endowments, which was our Share the Plate today, Interfaith Welcome Coalition, San Antonio African American Community Archive and Museum, Roy Moss Youth Alternatives, We Are Alive, the Alamo Area Resource Center, the Thrive Youth Center, Under the Bridge Incorporated, and now the one I just told you about, which is Act for SA. So when you receive this ballot, you'll be able to check off 4 of them, and you should have 7 blank names unchecked. Okay? And we vote for 4 of them. 4 months of the year go to facilities, and that was changed several years ago. And then the rest of the months, we have 1 month that goes to the Minister's Discretionary Fund, 1 goes to CREF, goes to USC, 1 does go to CREF, and 1 goes to Trust Fund. No, one goes to U bar U. So that makes the 12 months of the year. And as you know, any undesignated money that goes in the collection basket will go to that Share the Plate nominee at that time. So I hope you will vote with your hearts like you always do, and we'll have the results as soon as we know, and I'll contact the nominees to see if they have a preferred month, and then I'll get the schedule out to all of you as soon as I have all that nailed down for you, as I always do. Are there any questions about any of these organizations? Yes. Yeah. Alamo area is, let's see, what do I have on them? There's some information here on them. They assist individuals who are homeless, disabled, or facing life-challenging illnesses, including but not limited to HIV/AIDS. Okay? Okay. Anything else? Any other questions? Okay. So I will be waiting for your votes. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. And thank you all. The ballot for Share the Plate is a separate ballot from the 4 motions that we've talked about as a result of the congregational meeting. So you will see 2 separate ballots that will be emailed to you. And that is the end of the content of our meeting. So our Reverend Nell Newton is going to give us our closing words.
As we close this time together, let us take this moment to reflect upon what we have witnessed. We have heard from one another how hard and yet how joyous it is to carry out the mission of this congregation. We will be using the democratic process to call forth servant leaders whose work it will be to steer us through the next year. And we have affirmed that this work is holy work, because it tends to the covenant of how we will be in right relation within, between, and among one another. For all that we have created and witnessed, let us give thanks. May it be so, blessed be, Ashe, and Amen.
Thank you. This meeting is adjourned. Report.